Hello, a warm welcome to you.
How do you like the snow, Richie?
Here's a warm welcome to a reading of the stars and a channeling of what needs to be heard by you out there, by us inside. These videos are a fantastic way to trigger your consciousness and to get down into the subconscious layers of your psyche, to get you thinking in a train of thought which might prevent rumination and instead help guide you forward in a process towards more peace, more harmony, even if sometimes it feels like tough love. Enjoy.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the Ineffablelse, and this is introducing you to the Capricorn season. Before I continue, please subscribe to the channel, share this video, like it, comment, and check out the website, ineffablelse.com. This is not going to be like a standard monthly report. This is going to be a call to arms. This is the Capricorn energy absolutely coming to a climax. We've climbed through this year and now we're at the top of the mountain. This is the mountain goat. This is cardinal earth. This is earth keeping on moving. This isn't trying to soften and make things smooth, and I won't be able to talk to you in that way today as I can in other signs. This is absolutely make or break. We should be looking at what's happening in America, because America is in some ways the world. It is a culmination, and one of our most recent ideological experiments was making a country which was defined by its absolute diversity. People coming from all over the world to live there, the American dream. And America has been going through its own Pluto return. This is not something which many humans ever experience. It only happens every couple of 100 years. And this is a very, very unstable and shaky time. Now is not the time to complain, and if you do try to complain, no one will listen. This is the grandfather energy that is fed up. It's had enough. Even my own parents, I speak to them and they tell me we can't trust the politicians are all lying to us. But they've based the foundation of their psyche in trusting in a higher authority. Capricorn is the higher authority, and this is about learning to be your own higher authority and to use logic. And logically, the end road is to become a hermit. And this is a hermit in terms of your own consciousness. It's going inside, sitting with yourself and stroking your own little beard and thinking and feeling and knowing and looking at experience. It's extremely logical, but it's a combination of everything. It's taking the intuition that you have, it's all of the books and accumulated knowledge and all of the theories and concepts and conspiracy theories, and letting it all pass through your own filter which you have created, which is discerning and which is based in something much more real and is purifying. And in that sense, you don't waste your energy in going in strands and things in consciousness that make you feel bitter, that make you feel jaded, that make you feel very lost and very out of control. And instead, you have that power to filter through all of this stuff and to find the gold and to really sieve and know what is important going forward. And if you are that grandfather energy, if you are that grandfather, you're not going to care about the small things, the day-to-day, and you really aren't going to care about getting sick or moving through a sickness, and you're not going to fear these things. These are all going to be necessary parts of life which you go through. And this isn't about getting lost in talking to lots of people about lots of different ideas and concepts about what's happening at the moment. All of that is just distraction. All of that is separation. And this is the oldest trick in the book. It is divide and conquer. Doesn't matter which side of the party line you stand on, as long as you are standing there, you are lost. Find your wings, fly above all of that, transcend all of these stories, and have a sense of humour about it. And it's funny when Capricorn is the least humorous of the signs, and yet I find it is the best medicine for the Capricorn season. Sometimes we get this a bit confused. This is actually a time of great death. This is a time of feeling the bones, the skull, the skeleton. This is deeper than Scorpio in some ways, because it even lacks emotion. It's cold, it's cold-hearted, callous, brutal. And this is why we then celebrate the birth of a baby Jesus at this time of year. It's the death of the sun. It's the shortest day of the entire year, the 21st of December, the solstice. And that means that we are really confronted with death, and then confronted with the sun being reborn. But it's little by little by little. You don't barely notice the light changing. It is a huge shake-up and a huge shift for the whole planet when one of its biggest superpowers is going through a Pluto return. In Capricorn, it's all about borders and boundaries and control. It is a collective dark night of the soul. And for me personally, this is, and something I've seen in others, is this survival instinct is the thing in some ways inhibiting us from progressing, because we think survival is one thing when there is so much more to life on the other side of death. This is an issue with not knowing how to die. I don't die well. I'm a die-hard. And with Capricorn ruling time and passing of time, this is also looking at your ancestors, and this is looking at America and the indigenous Native Americans who did look 7 generations ahead. Do you think I'm going to care about catching the flu if I've got 7 generations ahead of me? I want to have a strong immune system. I want to be able to pass on the best genes. I'm not going to be... with sickness, there's a terrible aversion to feeling it. With period pains, a terrible aversion to feeling it. And a very, very... something very unique to our generation in terms of avoiding and suppressing with pills, with paracetamol and these things, and also just lots of strategies to really not feel it. And it's extremely painful and overwhelming. And when it comes to something like period pains, it should be this way. And it's about how much integrity can you have to allow yourself to experience this pain. Can you allow yourself one day of the month off, and your employer doesn't allow you this? How much can you stand in your integrity and confront all of the things and the fears that come with that? The fear of the loss of money, the fear of the loss of respect, the fear of what it would mean to actually go through all of these things if you've never even gone down that path. And I'm speaking from a privileged position, but it's a privileged position in which I have cultivated space where I can have that kind of flexibility in my timetable and my schedule, and it has meant cutting back a lot of things. This is not just a naturally blessed position to be in. This is a position where it's like the positives and the negatives. Well, the positives outweigh the negatives for me, and the negatives would be the loss of steady income, the loss of a lot of connections with certain people, the loss of certain home comforts and certain things which we take for granted in this world, but actually were giving me a lot of pressure. Bills, contracts. Being tied to the state was something that was supposed to help us. It was supposed to be a space where we could feel safe. The state is no longer a safe place for us. And growing up, I read 1984, George Orwell, and his criticism of a socialist environment, a socialist government, socialist society, and what that does to people, and how it controls the mind, and how it controls the way we can freely express ourselves and what we believe, and where we have two selves running. We have one which we deny and one which we present, and we are ashamed of both in equal measure. Interestingly, he was a communist. Communism is just the same. In both cases, you result in a state which controls and overrules everything. The big misunderstanding is the state is then seen as some kind of evil conspirator against us, when really it's a lot of confused people trying to gain control over a lot of other confused people. If we were all a lot less confused and sure of ourselves, then our governments would start to reflect that, and then the state would not be such a bad thing. But we are very lost individually, which then means we are very, very lost collectively. So this is a time to be a hermit. This is the grandfather. This is walking to the top of the mountain and shaking off layers and realizing you want the fresh air, you want the cold, freezing, chopping air against your skin, you want the bite of frostbite and cold showers and water on your skin to make you wake up to the elements around you and out of comfort. This is not comfort seeking. Comfort seeking means you'll be scrabbling for the last pillow, but there will always be some kind of pee there grating at you inside, because it's not true comfort. We can make an appearance of comfort all around us, but if we are not sure of ourselves, if we are not sure of our values, if we are not sure of who we can trust externally, it's a real reflection of the fact that we don't have any trust for ourselves internally. So I'm not here to government bash. I'm here to say, look, we need to stop bashing ourselves. We need to start sitting with ourselves and going inside. This is a dark time of the year. This is not the new year. This is not a time to celebrate and party and drink and binge. This is a time to fast and strip back and go in and peel off the layers of the skin. The snake sheds its own skin. No one's going to make you transform. Only you can transform. Many people can guide you, can lead you, can demonstrate and fool you and make you believe that you don't need to, or that you already have, but there are always layers and layers and layers to come off. Less is more. Less is more. We have a real disconnection from our ancestral lineage. We have no idea why we're here or what we're here for or who we're passing this on to, because we don't know where we got it from. We don't understand ourselves. We don't know who we are because we don't know where we have come from. We don't know the land, we don't know the soil, we don't know the culture. And this is very important, to investigate your own personal specific culture and lineage, both where you were born, where your blood comes from, both sides of the family, as far back as you can go, and look at the dynamics between different family members from what you can gather and what you can sense. And this is where the intuition does come in, and you can sit there and feel. You maybe only have one perspective from one grandparent about their grandparent going back, but just look at the dynamic that played out, see the patterns between your own parents, between your own siblings, and see how these things probably go back, and then you can see the ball bouncing between them. And then it's much easier to cut these things off. It's much easier to disidentify with them as being something so personal to you and so painful for you. And then it's much easier to look 7 generations ahead as well. And know that you don't want to give that along, pass that along, the suffering, I mean. Because there are also many other beautiful, delicious qualities that completely get waylaid and thrown out with the bathwater because we're not willing to go, or we don't know how to go into our family history, family past. It's very curious to get outside of your own culture and to look at it from a different perspective. That really helps. By all means, read from a wide range of eras and genres and see everything with a pinch of salt. This is incredibly discerning, this time of Capricorn. It doesn't take anything at face value. It's very, very judgmental, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing when judgmentalism is used to serve getting deeper and nearer and more and closer to the truth. It's not a case of following an ideal, to get a much nicer or a more, loving future. Well, why loving? What does loving mean? Analyze these words. Analysis of these concepts and where they come from, and what is my idea of love, and actually how many people would I be willing to kill to get to that concept of love, instead of just day by day bringing in something that feels a little bit more loving in my day-to-day actions. That's much more realistic. After Sagittarius blowing everything up into these grand ideals, Capricorn then strips it back and brings it inwards into, well, how do we do that? How this is the CEO of the company, and the CEO will then reflect on all of its workers. They have to be willing to see the reflection of one another. And at this time, many people will be choosing their personal drama over facing the collective, and then they dip their toe into the collective, and they really, really hate the feeling of that, so they'd rather have a panic attack over some spilt milk. And the key thing to remember is that the panic attack was waiting there. Whatever the situation manifested externally, this was something that wanted to come out of you. And how able were you to allow that to just sit and be there and be there? And I noticed this. This is why I speak about period pain, because for a long time I thought my period pain was so terrible. And I realized it was because I was just teetering on the edge of the cliff of the pain, and that was extremely painful. Yesterday I went into depths of pain that I've not really experienced before, but they were far richer, and afterwards I was tingling all over because I just said to my body just before it happened, I'm actually ready to feel the pain, I'm ready for it to come. And as it came, it went, and it came in waves, and it was all day, and I was able to get a few things done in the interim in between, but I didn't attack myself or add extra layers of suffering into those spaces, and that really helped it to clear much more quickly, and to stop this idea that suffering is eternal. Capricorn is about time. Things are finite, especially pain. Pain is finite. It isn't something that is chronic. This is all an illusion and all a myth that we buy into. And especially look at these, follow the money, money, Capricorn, resources, money. And if you follow the money, you see who is benefiting. You see pharmaceutical companies, they benefit from our long-term degenerative diseases, and also from things which we need to go and get repetitively again and again and again. That's a really great business model for them, and power to them. It's just a shame that it's then affecting so many human beings on the planet today. It's two realms of our world that should never have come together, which is money and health, and money and sickness. Making money off of sickness especially there is absolutely no motivation for these companies to make us well. Where is the financial incentive for that? That needs to be understood and accepted as not a conspiracy theory. Anything else on top of that may well just be a theory, but this is a fact, that there is no incentive for them to make us well. Because also these are big companies which are run by profit. So even if there are some good individuals within these companies that do want health and to help, the bottom line is profit. And it's very painful to realize that, we cannot trust the powers that be. The powers that be are also in the pockets of these companies. And instead of getting irate about it, instead of defending this position as if it is a position, these are just facts to accept. And they say, with this information I've received, what will I do with my time and my energy? And where will I direct my attention? And how much will I let it become part of my reality? Because it is up to you what you believe. Now, we are in a collective pressure cooker, and really 2020 and into 2021 has been a near-death experience, and this is something which many humans experience, which really helps them wake up. And I have seen some wonderful, and we were talking about this in 2016 about how things would get much worse before they got better, and I couldn't imagine how that would be possible. I couldn't imagine how it could be possible without there being World War III, or I couldn't envision something. And what has come to be has been much less worse than I would have imagined, and much less irreparable. It is going to still leave a lot of doors open for people to step back through and to take hold of their life and to enjoy life and not live in so much fear. But it has been a pressure cooker, and it has been a near-death experience, and with near-death experiences it can often trigger immense love and immense compassion and immense joy in the heart. So don't be fooled into thinking that this is something now terminal for society. This is terminal for a certain part and section of societal beliefs. That doesn't mean that a whole group of people need to be killed off. No, this is a whole set of values which no longer are feasible, they're not tenable, they don't work. And this isn't about being labelled as a red or a blue or a left or a right or a man or a woman or anything in between. This is shaking off the labels. And what I admire about Capricorn is it really, really is willing to go along with a system until it fails. It's really willing to test and to trust in a system and to put its faith in a system and follow through with the motions and to see what comes out the other side. It is then very disappointed most of the time when these human man-made concepts don't work. We have done some incredible things. We've done some incredible developments which we should be proud of, and we can take them forward, the internet being one of them. So it's the dualistic thinking that means that if we say something along the lines of we can be disappointed with the system, therefore we're going to throw it all away. No. We can use discernment, discerning what works and what is discerning what actually works and what is right for us going forward. And now I want to speak directly to the millennial generation, of which I'm one of, and that is to say that there were seeds sown by our forefathers for us to be the ones who would really help shift into this Aquarian age and to get away from these past patterns. So let's, walk in the footsteps of giants. Let us embrace this path, and with us being far more sensitive than previous generations, because they've not been able to, because they've been in many states of post-traumatic stress after war and after conflict, and without such a wide understanding of the planet. Let us not let that overwhelm us. Let us realize that we are those giants, that we are those ones which can step forward with extremely thin skin, extremely open to the elements and feeling absolutely everything, and yet still able to carry ourselves, and yet still be able to not lose ourselves or lose our center in the midst of all of this. I'm speaking here as someone who would crawl under a rock. It's all too much, it's all too big, but it's really not. It is as you get pierced with so many arrows, eventually you begin to laugh. Eventually you look like Swiss cheese. Eventually it's all just ridiculous anyway. It's all temporary. This is about time and what you use your time for and how you use your time here on this planet. And this is a pressure cooker, and crack under the pressure. By all means crack and let yourself open up. Let yourself spill out. Let yourself be absolutely humongous. And why not? Why continue to make yourself small? You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing our previous generations a disservice. You're doing the planet a disservice. You're doing your future generation a disservice, to the point where potentially we are not even going to create a future generation if we allow ourselves to become sterilized by chemical means, by mental means, by emotional blocks. We're not even going to be able to generate the next generation. We need to really step up with all of the gifts that we've been given by the universe, by all of the trauma that we've got on our backs as well, and use all of that as fertilizer to really push up. This is the weed, the Capricorn weed, the dandelion. It's coming up through the cracks and surging on forward. It just keeps going. It just keeps moving. It doesn't stop. It's a thistle. It's a thistle at the top of a really, really barren mountain, rocky, snowy, and it just keeps going. And you look at it like, what is your game? What is the... It doesn't have a game. It's just doing. It does as it does. It's direct. It's honest. And it's seeking the highest good. The new numerological year, 2022, will be a very, very interesting time for us. So let's embrace that year as it comes. Let's not be scared of it. Let's be little children in all the best ways, and we can really make them proud, make the ancestors proud, make them glow, make them shine, and make them when you start feeling all of those generations in your skin, in your body, even if you're an orphan on this earth, even if you're adopted, even if you feel like you really have no ties with any particular place, you don't even know when your birth time is, you know, just start feeling into your body and calling in the people who love you, and then you feel how supported you are, and you feel how much of a dance this is, and how absolutely fine it is to do anything that you want on this earth. And the more sensitive you get, the better your choices will be for you and for everyone else. So please contact me if you would like to have a reading, and as I said, subscribe to the channel, like it, share it, like it on Facebook, follow it on Instagram, and go to the website ineffablelse.com.